he belongs to the top 10 in the world, definitely.
He has been easily the best player in the last 10 years.
He was a massive part of Liverpool winning the Champions League because he was leading by example.
The embodiment of the Kop's passion.
Gerrard! Oh, goodness me! What a strike!
He was just born to play football.
He's been fantastic for the football club, and every accolade that he gets, he thoroughly deserves.
At half-time in the 2005 Champions League final, Liverpool trailed AC Milan 3-0. Inspiration was desperately needed. Their captain delivered.
I remember the image when he scored, saying the fans and everyone, come on.
We had them on the back foot. And your stomach turned, like when you get an excitement that you can't control. I was flat on my feet, but I was just enjoying and milking every single moment. Now when I look back and see the pictures, and I know it's real, and I can take that memory to the grave with me. A lot of me family are all big Reds, some are Evertonians as well, but you know, this city's so passionate about football. You're either a red or a blue, and you know, the majority of my family are Reds, so I assume that's where they come from.
Born within 10 miles of the ground where he would make his name, Stíven Gerrard is the classic local hero. Spotted by Liverpool scouts aged 9, he signed a professional contract with the club at 17.
I had letters off the majority of the top flight teams at the time. A couple of letters from abroad as well at 13, 14 years of age. So, although I didn't have a decision to make because I knew what I was going to do, it was still nice to get a flavour of what other clubs were like, how they run, what the people were like, what the coaches were like. And to be fair to all the other clubs, they were good. But nothing was going to pull me away from here.
He would mature from a shy teenager into the captain of his club and his country.
You couldn't project what kind of athlete he was going to be and, you know, what kind of physical specimen. So that we had to wait for that. But I did tell people at the club that potentially here was a Liverpool and England player. And I've only ever said that for young players, for a couple of players.
We had 11-a-side practice match, and there was a couple of players short, so a couple of young guys come over from the academy. One, namely Stíven Gerrard, and I remember passing the ball to him, and just, as it normally happens, they give it back to you and then you then make the next pass. He just received this ball and he just hit this diagonal pass for about 40 yards straight to someone's feet, and there's a different noise to it. It was like a ping, and I just thought, who's this kid? Who is this? And about 2 minutes later, he's gone in for a 50-50 with Paul Ince, cleaned him out, and I thought, this guy's got it all.
Steve Iway asked me to watch a game. He thought that I had an answer for my problems on the right. I wanted a right winger. But in the middle of the park, there was a player who was very lean, but very aggressive, and running from box to box, shouting at, you know, players, being like, you know, sort of a natural leader, and quick, good on the ball. First touch was brilliant.
That young man was Stíven Gerrard.
I said, well, you know, I don't know who he is, but if he belongs to Liverpool, tomorrow he'll be in the training with a pro.
Gerrard made his first team debut on November the 29th, 1998, with a substitute appearance against Blackburn Rovers.
All I can remember from the night, really, is getting told to get changed, and the feeling that I got that ran through my body that night. I've only experienced that 2 or 3 times in my whole career, so my debut was one of the most special nights I've ever had.
His first start came at White Hart Lane, where he was given the job of marking Tottenham's French star, David Ginola.
It was a challenge for me, really, and a challenge that I failed miserably. I was dragged off on, I think, the 53rd minute. I enjoyed the experience, and I learnt a lot from that day.
The following season saw the first evidence of the goal-scoring prowess, which would become a key part of Gerrard's game. He claimed his first goal against Sheffield Wednesday. Despite groin and back problems punctuating his blossoming career, he was becoming a first-team regular and a fan's favourite.
If you're a scouser and you're playing for Liverpool, you feel it more. You know, your friends and your family are always onto you. They're always talking to you. You know, you don't do well. You know, everyone feels the pain. And so, yeah, for a local boy, it is. You can't distance yourself. You're part of it, and it's the emotional pull of it is so strong. And you can see that in many ways when we haven't done well. The disappointment on his face takes it to heart. And it's because he's so immersed in the club and so immersed in the city and the culture of it.
You can't be signed for a football club just because of where you're born. You've got to have ability. So the ability is the first and most important thing. But it's a real bonus when they're local lads and coming in, and that's what everybody wants to try and achieve for the football club.
The new millennium would be the making of Gerrard. Gerard Houllier signed a midfielder who would be integral to the youngster's development. Gary McAllister.
At the time, I was a bit worried because he was a top player. I know he was getting on a bit age-wise, but I still knew he had a bit to offer, so I was worried maybe he'd push it ahead of me in the pecking order. But looking back on it now, I think it was a stroke of genius by Houllier to bring someone in with that level of experience. A top guy, a top player, someone who took his time to ads, and there's that. Gary took it upon himself to take me on ball, put his arm around me and guide me in the right direction.
Gary McAllister was a brilliant influence. I mean, one of the things that's characterised Stephen's career is that he's probably tried to do everything at 100 miles an hour. Gary McAllister showed him how to slow down, how to use space, how to extend his passing range, and just as a calming influence, as a stabilising influence, he was fantastic.
2001 was an incredible year for Liverpool. The club claimed a treble of League Cup, FA Cup and UEFA Cup. Gerrard was becoming known as a big game player. He scored the second as Liverpool won the UEFA Cup, beating Alaves of Spain 5-4.
Well, in 2001, he took part in every single final and every important game. A top player always delivers in top games. And Stevie, in top games, he would never disappoint you.
To contribute at such a young age and get that trophy in your hand and a winner's medal. As I say, it was what dreams are made of, really. I've grew up watching tapes of all the famous Liverpool teams and all the players, and I've had it drilled into me both on and off the pitch. You know, you've got to follow the history, you've got to deliver, and there was an element of relief, if you like, when you get them trophies in the bag that you've added to this great club's history.
Gerrard made 50 starts during that historic campaign, scoring 10 goals. Michael Owen scored twice in the FA Cup final as Liverpool came from behind to beat Arsenal 2-1 in Cardiff. The Charity Shield and European Super Cup were lifted in the autumn.
A dream season for myself personally, but also for the club, and I think you realise when you get a bit older and you see how difficult it is to win one trophy, so to do 3 in 1 year is some achievement.
A year on, Gerrard's stock had risen further. International caps at youth level had been followed by a first full England cap in May 2000 and a place in the squad for that summer's European Championship. In September 2001, Gerrard scored his first international goal against Germany in a 5-1 victory.
What a strike from Stephen Gerrard! Absolutely breathtaking.
Injury meant Gerrard missed the 2002 World Cup, but the following season saw Liverpool raise silverware in Cardiff, defeating Manchester United 2-0 in the League Cup final. Again, Gerrard delivered on the big occasion. A year later, Houllier named Gerrard as his captain. Within 6 months, he was also leading England in the absence of David Beckham.
It meant the world to me, being the captain of Liverpool, but looking back at it now, it was a big call from the manager at a young age. There was a lot of big leaders and big players in the dressing room. There was a lot of pressure on me, and I feel as if I've handled it really well, but I mean, it could have went the other way.
He's brilliant for a manager to have in the dressing room because he's strong, and along with a couple of other guys in the dressing room, he knows what the club stands for, and he knows the expectations from the players and what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing.
To be a Liverpool fan, to be a Copite, and then to play for the club, not only that, to captain the club, it's just the greatest thing ever. And you know, to have the adulation of the Cop, you can see it in him, and just You know, he makes him 10 foot tall, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant experience. You know, all you can do is envy him.
For many supporters, Liverpool is more than just a football club. It's an institution with a heritage that demands the past informs the present. In the Hillsborough tragedy of 1989, 96 supporters lost their lives, the darkest day in the club's history. And Stephen Gerrard felt the pain more than most.
One of the things about Hillsborough is it bounds us all even more tightly to the club, and the emotional resonance is so strong. And for Stephen to have lost a cousin there, you can see what it means to him, you can see how important it is to him, and that makes him even more iconic figure for the fans and for the club.
May 2004 saw Houllier replaced by Rafael Benitez. Gerrard had been impressed by the Spaniards' Valencia team, who'd beaten Liverpool twice 2 seasons earlier. And the compliment was returned.
In terms of as a player, someone that has power and technical ability, and so good in the air, so he could do a lot of things, both feet, so really good. In terms of a person, the main thing is humble. He's someone that is keen to learn. He was talking, he's nice with the new players, with the young players, and he's training well, so he's a good example.
Rafa playing slightly differently, and after a difficult few months, the first few months where you wondered which way it was going to go, whether Benitez had bitten off more than he could chew, it all started to coalesce, and then there was the run to Istanbul, and which obviously was beyond the greatest dreams of any Kopite or any Liverpool captain at the time.
That run to Istanbul seemed a long way off when they faced Olympiacos in the group stage of the Champions League in December 2004. They had to win.
If you probably look at his career and you say, for a moment that's emblematic, Olympiacos was the one.
Liverpool needed a victory by 2 goals in order to qualify for the knockout stage. Midway through the first half, they found themselves facing elimination.
They're down and out, written off. You might as well all pack up and go home, just inside the second half, and then the comeback started.
The momentum changed, we got on top, the cop got behind us, the 12th man were rolling us on, and they were sucking the ball, and it felt like that. It felt like every attack we were going to score.
We scored 2 goals, and we needed to score the 3rd goal, and it was the ball from Kara to Mellor, and then went to him.
As the clock's ticking down, he produces that moment. You need the ball at his feet, and you need him to score, otherwise it's over. He gets it at his feet and he scores.
There's an old saying, never give up till the whistle goes, and this game was a perfect example of it. A ball fell to me very late on, and I caught it really sweet, and that was the important goal.
Liverpool carried that momentum through the knockout rounds. Bayer Leverkusen, Juventus and Chelsea were all beaten as they reached the showpiece in Istanbul. Their first European Cup final since 1985.
The first half in Istanbul was probably about as bleak a time as you could have. It was, you psych yourself up for it, and it must have been worse for the players. It was bad enough for the fans, for us. Kicks off, and before you even know it, you're 1 down.
I remember we were 3-0 down, and lucky to be only 3. I was watching it in a pub, and 1 or 2 people jumped up, and then AC Milan were scoring, and I thought, I need to get out of here.
Emotional, on the floor. Probably the worst I've ever felt in a football kit.
We changed the shape of the team, we changed the tactics.
They're going nowhere, it's just, don't embarrass yourselves. Let's not get it any worse.
After a half-time dressing down by the manager and also a regroup from the lads, we came out a completely different team second half.
We went back to the house to watch it. Then Stephen got the first one.
And when I seen the net going, then the game changed, the atmosphere changed, the feeling and the belief in the team, the confidence changed.
There's probably no other player on the pitch there who would have scored a header like that.
I remember the image when he scored, saying the fans and everyone, come on.
When I got the first one, I thought it might have been a bit of respect and we might have left the mountain a little bit too high to climb.
It's me to get the second one, and we're in here.
When the second come, I actually thought we were going to go and win the game 4-3 in normal time.
If someone wrote it and someone made a movie of it, you wouldn't believe it.
The Milan players were flat, they were down. We had them for, I think it was 8-10 minutes, we had them on the back foot.
Gerrard burst into the area and was fouled by Gennaro Gattuso. Penalty. Xabi Alonso scored with the follow-up, and the comeback was complete.
They play with Serginho at the end, so I have to move Gerrard on the right side. And I remember 2 or 3 tackles in the close to our byline, so that means that he was playing as a midfielder, he was playing as a second striker, and he was playing as a right winger, and at the end he was playing as a full-back. And in every single position he was doing well.
That, again, was one of the things about Stephen, when he dropped to full-back and he was working, you know, as an auxiliary defender. You know, he was willing to sacrifice his own game to get them over the line.
No more goals meant the final would be decided on penalties.
My stomach turned, like when you get like an excitement that you can't control. I've had it 3 other times with the birth, me 3 children, and this feeling was very similar. That's how I felt when I knew Shevchenko would miss that penalty.
The European Cup would remain on Merseyside forever. This was Liverpool's 5th win in the competition. History had been made.
I was flat on my feet, but I was just enjoying and milking every single moment I could. But now when I look back and see the pictures, and I know it's real, and I can take that memory to the grave with me.
I told him that probably is the best day in your life. I mean, the best memory in your life. He said, no, boss. He said, the best day is when you appointed me captain. So that means how important it had an impact on his, in his mind and his development.
Following Gerrard's Istanbul heroics, Jose Mourinho tried to sign him for Chelsea. And Gerrard had a big decision to make.
I was getting bad vibes and bad feelings. It was uncomfortable. Yeah, you know, we just won the Champions League. I just lifted it, just contributed in the final. I'd helped us get there. I'd had probably one of the best seasons form-wise I'd had, and other people were getting rewarded with contracts, and I had less than 2 years to go. So it was maybe a bit of a mixture of insecurity from my behalf, but also I didn't feel any love coming from people above me at the club, and that was strange considering what we just achieved.
A new contract was eventually agreed. Supporters could rest easy in the knowledge their captain would remain at Liverpool. His loyalty had been tested, but the desire to lead his hometown club proved too strong.
Yeah, no problem. The fact that he decided to stay there, because it's his hometown club, he deserves a great deal of credit for that, because unlike me, I played in some truly great Liverpool teams with great players. I don't think Stephen's had that luck.
What I was asking myself, and what I was saying to myself at the time when it come down to the crunch decision, is what means the most to you, what's in your heart. And if I win 2, 3, 4 trophies from 2005 up till I retire with Liverpool, and I win 8 with Chelsea, the 4 at Liverpool mean an awful lot more to me.
The pull of Liverpool, of his family, of Anfield, was too strong for him. And yeah, he wanted to go to Chelsea. He thought he wanted to go to Chelsea right until the moment come when he had to sign on the dotted line, and then he realised he wanted to stay at home.
The following year brought more heroics from Liverpool's captain. If the 1953 FA Cup final is known as the Matthews final, the 2006 version belongs to Stephen Gerrard. Liverpool trailed West Ham by 2 goals after half an hour.
If I had to pick a performance where everything clicked, every part of my game was on, it'd be Cardiff.
Gerrard's pass began the comeback.
Cisse!
He's brilliant on the big stage. Always, if there's any player in the world that you turn to at the crucial moments, it's him.
Here comes Gerrard! And they are back on level terms.
But as the game went into injury time, Liverpool trailed once again. Plagued by cramp, Gerrard still had an unforgettable part to play.
When that ball drops to him right at the end, if it drops to any other player in the world, West Ham win the cup. It dropped to Stephen, boom, Liverpool are going to win the cup.
Gerrard! Oh, goodness me! What a strike from Stephen Gerrard!
I was that exhausted and that tired, and I had nothing left to give except one last swing in my boot, and probably Olympiacos aside, the sweetest strike I've ever hit a ball.
Liverpool triumphed in another penalty shootout and won the FA Cup for a 7th time. Their captain was now one of the most complete players in the game and had the medals to prove it. The ensuing years have brought highs and lows. Gerrard was voted the PFA Player of the Year in 2006 and awarded an MBE the following year. 2007 also saw him lead Liverpool to another Champions League final, though AC Milan exacted revenge with a 2-1 win. But that was soon forgotten. Gerrard scored his 100th club goal against PSV in the Champions League. A strong league campaign saw Liverpool finish as runners-up to Manchester United in 2009, and Gerrard was voted the Football Writers' Player of the Year. After returning from the 2010 World Cup, he was met by new Liverpool manager Roy Hodgson, but his stay was short-lived. His replacement was former manager and club icon Kenny Dalglish, and silverware followed, as Liverpool won the League Cup against Cardiff City.
To get the chance to play for Kenny, who was a good friend of mine as well, and someone who'd give me great advice throughout my career, to get the chance to play for him week in, week out was special.
A hat-trick in the Merseyside derby was another high point. Gerrard found himself working under the man who, according to most supporters, is the only player who stands above Gerrard in the pantheon of Liverpool legends.
To get a hat-trick for him against Everton was a big high in my career. I mean, I've had many, many highs, but that one's certainly right up there. And for myself personally as well, I've had unbelievable amounts of stick from Everton fans at traffic lights, in the city, in restaurants. Everywhere I go, I face Everton fans, and the majority of the time it's good banter. To score a hat-trick against them was very satisfying from my point of view.
With England, Gerrard was reunited with Roy Hodgson, who named him captain of the national team. England were eliminated from Euro 2012 by Italy, and when Gerrard returned home, once again there was a new man in charge at Anfield. Irishman Brendan Rodgers had taken over from Dalglish as Liverpool entered a new era. In November that year against Sweden, Gerrard became only the 6th Englishman to make 100 international appearances. At the following game against Brazil, he was presented with a special centenary cap. 10 months later, he scored the second goal in a 2-0 win over Poland that clinched England's qualification for the World Cup in Brazil. His 100th Premier League goal followed just 3 days later. His testimonial would make 2013 a very special year for Stephen Gerrard, a one-club man, a superpower for Liverpool and England, and widely regarded as a football great.
I think he's achieved everything that everybody expected of him, because he's, as I say, an incredible footballer, and also, in this day and age, a really humble, good human being. And in football, where so many people want the trappings more than sometimes of football, I think he's kept his head down and done everything right.
I was fortunate enough to have played in some of the great Liverpool teams that dominated Europe. We won everything. But I can also say that Stephen Gerrard would have got on any of those teams.
He had, as I said, gifts. Gift plus work plus the talent, the attitude. That's the cocktail for success.
You have a leader, you have your captain, but he's leading by example, so that is the main thing.
That chain that runs from Shankly, Paisley, through Hillsborough, through Dalglish, and goes through to Stephen. And that's why he's such an important, iconic figure for the club, and he always will be.
Everybody that's made a contribution to the Liverpool Football Club deserves huge recognition, but none more so than Stephen.
Sometimes I have to, pinch myself, and I mean, it hasn't all been great. There's been highs and lows along the way, and there's been some bad times, but I think the bad times help you to strive for the good times, and I wouldn't change any of it for anything.